Hello everybody, it is Devin, the Creeper Keeper here today, and I'm actually going to be going over the entirety of my tarantula collection, all 28 of them, and we're going to do this by genus as well as size. That's how they're going to be grouped, and we're just going to go through the whole shebang, go through every single specimen, and kind of go over how I keep them and their different behaviors. So let's go ahead and get to it. So moving on to the first set of slings here, these are all Heteroscodra maculata. They're all about third instar, fourth instar, I believe, just really starting to branch out a little bit, but I got them at half-inch diagonal leg span originally. I had gotten them from Midwest Exotic from a guy named Adrian. Great service, very professional packaging, came through all alive, but out of the 10 I got, one of them died. And it's the unfortunate truth of keeping tarantula slings that not all of them are going to make it. It's why they have so many babies out in the wild. So honestly, 1 out of 10 dying, I don't think those are bad odds. That's not a bad ratio. So we got these 9 here. This one in the back recently just molted. We'll go ahead and pick that up and show you. But this is how I keep all of them. It's a mixture of cocoa fiber, coarse vermiculite, and that's it. It's about 50-50. And I go ahead and throw a little bit of sphagnum moss in there so they have something to anchor onto, helps retain the moisture. But if you see right there, down next to the sphagnum moss, right close to, there you go, that's the molt. Oh, there we go, and get close up. Anyways, they seem to be doing all right in there. Not only are they inside of these, but I also keep them inside of my microclimate that I made for my slings. It just kind of keeps up the humidity and temperature, so they're a little more protected from the outside climate. But anyways, those are my Heteroscodra maculata, all 9 of them, and they are for sale here locally. I'm not going to be doing any shipping or online sales, but at the same time, you know, this is what they look like, and as of right now, they're all good to go. And up next, we have all of my Lasiodora parahybana, or salmon pink bird eaters. Now, these were given to me, well, bought at a local expo not too long ago, and they molted twice since I got them, but I have kept them in the original enclosure that they were in, just because I haven't really seen any need to rehouse them. They seem to have plenty of space, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Anyways, their behavior has been about what you'd expect. You know, they're so small at the moment that they don't have any defining characteristics. They're all just really flighty, and they run away when you first move their enclosure if you touch them wrong. But there's a bigger one, probably a molt ahead of the other 2. But yeah, as most of you probably know, this is a New World tarantula, so urticating hairs are common with this. But at the same time, they can grow up to 11 inches from what I've been told and from what I've seen online. So it's just something to imagine, something the size getting nearly a foot in leg span. It's crazy. Hopefully we'll be able to see that in this lifetime, because they are some slow growers. But yeah, that's all my LPs. They're all doing great. No issues there. Let's go ahead and move on. And now we are moving on to my Tarantulas marinus, or my OBTs, orange baboon tarantulas. Now, this right here is an old world species with relatively potent venom, so it's recommended for intermittent keepers. You know, you don't have to be the most advanced, but at the same time, you don't want to get this for someone who's unsure of how to handle these animals properly. So let's go ahead and take a look at my setups here. For the first one, we got something a little nicer. Now, just before I take off the top, this is one of my homemade AMAC enclosures. I just drilled those 2 1-inch vents in there to the side, and there's some rubber stoppers on the bottom. Make sure that slides around all nice and smooth, doesn't bump too hard. But anyways, these things seem to be perfect for both fossorial, arboreal, terrestrial. I haven't had any issues with this. I really like this design, and they're stackable, and they look nice. But if we look in there, we'll see I kind of made, I glued some twigs together after I baked them in the oven to get rid of any parasites or bacteria. But I went ahead and glued them together into the shape of a little tree, little twig stemming out, so it would have plenty of anchor points. And it used it at first, but then just kind of tucked away into this corner. You should be able to see it right in there. Yep, there's the big booty. So it's in pre-molt right now. Probably going to be molting here within the next week or 2. Doubt it'll take much longer. They're pretty quick growers. But that's the most interesting setup I have for mine. The next one is one that I just rehoused today. And I fed it recently too. So let's go ahead and see if we can get it eaten. Oh, yeah. It's shy. Hopefully it doesn't lose its meal over this video. That would not be cool, but I think it'll have no problem finding out where its old prey item was. And finally we have my smallest one that I actually got as a freebie with the HMAX that I previously showed you. But it's too small. It's a good bit smaller than the other two, and I'm just waiting for it to grow out of this deli cup here. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the next set of spiders. And here we have my Chaetopelma olivaceum, the Middle Eastern gold. So again, this is an old world species. The venom is relatively potent, just the same as the HMAX or the OBTs, but this one is so skittish, I don't think there would ever be a chance of it really going after anybody, at least the specimen. I don't know how the entirety of the genus is, or the species, but I'm willing to bet, considering how they live in the wild and how they're all nice and tucked away in their crevices, they're probably not very defensive animals. They're probably just going to attack you if approached in their burrow. But it's a pretty small little sling, probably about an inch, inch and a half in leg span total. Really tiny little guy. I like how fully developed it looks even at this size. I mean, you can see that it's got those thicker joints, and it's a, it's a megalomorph. It's definitely a thicker, heavy-bodied spider. It's definitely not one of your regular true spiders that you'd see wandering around. But I keep it in my AMAC enclosure, same as most of the other ones, and we'll spill some water to show you. There's the little hide. I super glued a little bit of cork bark to the back of it, and it's pretty much dug up a bunch of the substrate and pushed it against the back so I can't see inside, which was the point originally, but what can you do? Anyways, bit of a lesser known species, but still beautiful, and I'm excited to see what this turns out to look like as it gets older. Hopefully sex it, get a female, maybe. Fingers crossed. But we'll go ahead and find out here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and move on to the next genus. Alright, so up next we have my Poecilotheria genus. I've only got two at the moment. I have a P. striata and a P. metallica. So let's go ahead and take a look at them, see how I have it set up. Go ahead and move her for now. So this is the striata setup, again, in one of the AMAC enclosures, and I've seen a lot of activity from this one, not quite what I'd like to see. I wanted to see more webbing around the front of the enclosure, see it splayed out on that big piece of wood, but it's really just been tucked away and digging here in that little corner. Let's go ahead and get a look in there. But it's a suspect male. I'm 90% sure it's male. I was able to take a look at the exuvia and definitely thought there was no spermathecae or anything there that would signify that it was a female. So if anyone's got a female that they're looking to sell, or if they want to work out a breeding load for striata, I would absolutely be interested. Other than that, we have Iris, my P. metallica. Now, I won this spider from a Facebook giveaway from the Tarantula Collective by Richard Stewart. And somehow I won, got lucky, got the spider, and managed to keep her alive. Because I had a P. metallica, originally, but I wasn't experienced or knowledgeable. So there was really no way for me to keep that spider in proper conditions. It ended up passing away, and it was my fault entirely, but at the same time, these things happen, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to raise one up a second time and hopefully do right by her. This one has molted in this enclosure, so I know that things are going well on that part. Let's go ahead and open it up, take a look. Yeah. Okay, so down there is just a massive water bowl. Didn't want to have to worry about soaking the substrate or humidity, just thought I'd throw a big pool down in there. So that would keep things where it needed to be. And seems a little overdone. It might be a little bit because it's a pretty heavy log on this side, but keeps her nice and comfortable in her hide. There she is. Hello. Oh. Well, you can see the blue, and she's beautiful. I'm excited for her to grow and see what she turns out to look like in the long run. All right, let's go ahead, move on to the next genus. So up next we have two fossorial species. We have Hysterocratus gigas and Megaphobema robustum. So let's go ahead and take a look at them side by side. Thought it'd be cool to get the comparison. Over here we have the M. robustum, the Costa Rican red leg, and this is an old world. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a new world species, and I know that because it kicks plenty of hairs at me, and they hurt. But substrate's pretty loose in there because despite how densely I compacted it, just all the moving and pushing that the spider has done throughout the months has just kind of loosened everything up. So it's constantly digging and burrowing and doing new things to the enclosure every night. Now, I love the color on the legs. You can see it's like a really vibrant tangerine color almost. And right next to there, we can see that nice pre-molt booty. Has not eaten in like a month and a half, and that's for good reason. Gonna get a molt soon, and hopefully it's a female. But at the same time, it was sold to me as suspect male, and we all know what that means. So chances aren't very high, but I like to stay hopeful. Over here, we have my H. gigas, and this is a sexed female. Had it had it since a spiderling, and just to see it grow into this thick, massive spider with those huge rear legs, it's been very rewarding. And it's been through about 3 or 4 rehouses since I got her. So her name's Olga. I pretty much name all my spiders once I personally sex them, especially if they're females and I know I'm going to keep them around for a long time. Helps me add a name to their characteristics and just kind of define them a little bit. But yeah, she's been amazing to watch. She takes down massive prey relative to her body size. I can give her, pretty big dubias, and she's good with it, has no problem. Sometimes I actually have to scoop substrate out of the top here because she's just always burrowing more and more up, that if I just let her fill it up to the top, she'd have nowhere to walk around above ground. So that's why that's a little dug out. Anyways, there we go. Let's move on and see what we got next. Moving forward, we have my Aphanopelma genus. I have 3 species at the moment. We have an Aphanopelma hensi, Aphanopelma chalcodes, and Aphanopelma simani. Now, all 3 of these are amazing spiders. I love watching them eat, move, behave. I mean, a lot of people would consider these to be more on the boring end of their specimens, but at the same time, just seeing how well they can move substrate around and kind of bulldoze the entirety of things, it's really amazing to see for yourself. So all 3 of these I actually got from expos. These 2 I had gotten from a local one here in town. This one I had to go 1 town over for. But they're all, mature females, and maybe they got a couple molts to go, especially the chalcodes here. But I don't know about the hensi, because from what I gather, they only get 4 to 5 inches, and that's about where she's at the moment. But I'll definitely be trying to breed all 3 of these at some point or another. But that's just going to be coming in time. For right now, let's go ahead and keep them fed and as happy as possible. Now, if you'll notice, the Simani enclosure is different than the other 2, and it doesn't have any piece of wood. It doesn't have this dug-in cork bark or dug-in log. And that's just because it's supposed to be on the fossorial end of things. The species is supposed to do more digging and really stay beneath the surface, especially in its wild habitat. That's how it's found, is, at the entrance of its burrow, always. So these 2, while, they don't really have a necessity to dig, and they're probably not going to be going down to the bottom of these critter keepers, this one I expect to. It's got a lot more substrate to deal with, and it's a lot more compact, so it'll hold the burrow as well as keep everything where it needs to. But anyways, those are my 3 bigger ladies. Let's move on to the next species. Up next on the list is my Brachypelma albopilosum, my big girl Annie. Now, I subconsciously named her probably after seeing the Dark Den episode where he did, so that's probably where I got it, but I didn't realize it at the time. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna keep it. It's fitting. Let's go ahead and see if we can kind of tickle her out. There we go. She's working it. Wonder how far we can get her to come. because I don't know if she's going to come all the way out of that burrow. She spent a lot of time constructing that. Did not expect her to dig as much as she actually did. Ooh, okay. Well, that's probably about as much as we're gonna get, but at the same time, you see her right there. She's very fluffy. I'm not too sure if it's Nicaraguan or Honduran form. I'm willing to bet Nicaraguan considering the darkness overall of her color palette, but she's just beautiful. We're only going to be getting some of the legs here, but it's better than nothing. Yeah, there she is. Alright, well, let's go ahead and move on to the next species on the list. And coming up, we have my Nandrew chromatis pair. So this one here is Melina. I've had her for about a year now. She's a little over 6 inches. And as you can see, she is just massive. We'll go ahead and lift this up, get you a better look. But it's insane how big that abdomen is. So she hasn't been eating this past couple weeks. I'm hoping she's in pre-molt. Really am. I don't know if she's even capable of molting again because she's so big. This might just be her final form. But if we are able to get another molt out of her, that'd be fantastic, because then I think she would be willing to meet up with our man here on the left. And I've tried pairing them a couple times already. She just was not receptive. She wasn't tapping. She was aggressive. I didn't want to risk it. It took me forever to find a male, or a mature male, N chromatis. So grateful I found him. We're going to go ahead and wait till we see how things play out as far as she goes. You know, if she molts, we're good. If not, we're going to go ahead and give it some more time. I'll probably have to reduce her food intake to let that abdomen go down, because I really don't want to pair them when she's that big. I just don't want to even see what that would look like. She looks gravid as is. Let's not push that any further. But anyways, that's my chromatis pair. And as far as behavior goes, he's actually been a lot more defensive than she has. And I don't know if it's just in the nature of the males to be a little more flighty and responsive, but she's definitely been on the slower side, been chill. I've only gotten a few hairs kicked when I opened it to feed, but other than that, you know, been relatively easygoing. All right, let's go ahead and move on. And finally, we have my avicularia morphotype 6s. So I've got 2 of them right now. We have Charlotte and we have Billy. Charlotte I got actually from someone just selling off of Facebook. I was able to get the spider and the enclosure for a total of $20, which is a fantastic deal. And Billy was actually a gift from my girlfriend, so I went ahead and put a bunch of effort into giving her the full setup. It's an Exoterra Nano with the acrylic top, so we didn't have to worry about mesh and keeping in that humidity. And they're both doing fantastic. Couldn't ask for any better behavior. They've been feeding. I haven't seen any molts from either of them yet, but I have a feeling Charlotte's going to pop soon, and Billy hasn't been eating for a while, so we should see something going on there. As far as behavior goes, they've been extremely easy to deal with. The only one who's given me any issues is Billy when I was feeding. There was one time where he just freaked out and ran out of the enclosure. It was hard to deal with, but he landed on my shoulder and pooped on me. So I'd like to keep him exactly where he's at. I don't let him run around too much. Whereas Charlotte is very slow, has never given me any issues, and is beautiful to watch. I mean, just webbing up the entirety of this enclosure only took her a couple of weeks. And from there, she's just been layering it on and really making it into her own. But yeah, Avicularia, definitely a great genus to get into if you're more of a beginner with tarantulas, because you don't have to worry about any potent venom. You don't have to worry about any urticating hairs, or they do still urticate hairs. I mean, they'll rub them on you, but you don't have to worry about them kicking them in your face. Generally, it's a lot more subtle. Anyways, that is the last of the spiders I have in my collection, last of my tarantulas. I really hoped you all enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Either way, subscribe so we can keep doing this again, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.